it's got to be, I'm proud of me. That's why I'm steady moving on despite the hatred. I get better every song, man, it's got to be, I'm proud of me. If you don't like it, move along, get the shaking if the bacon ain't involved, man, it's got to be, I'm proud of me. That's why I'm steady moving.
Welcome, people, to Global State of Mind. I'm your host, Garnett. All praises be to the Most High. We have another blessed Saturday here. We're doing a show on a Saturday this week, which is a little bit different. Normally, we're doing Sundays. But we had to accommodate one of our special guests today, Nick Arrotta, owner of Northtown Auto Liquidators. They've been in Spokane for a very long time. They're a very established company. They're involved with the community, involved with churches. They do things for the children there in Spokane. And if you ever need a good car and you don't want to go deal with all the hassle of Ford and Nissan and Toyota, but you want something that you're going to be reliable, take you through Spokane through the wintertime, Northtown is a place to go. And take care of your family-owned business. So we have Nick with us. JD, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm good. So it's kind of having a very ugly weather here in France, but otherwise I'm okay. Hope everyone is doing good though.
Pretty rough here today too.
We're there too?
Yeah, it's pretty rainy, pretty foggy. I can't even see my neighbor's house barely.
Definitely the same here. So, hey guys, you know what I mean? Watch out for the weather. You know, we all know that the climate change is a big problem these days. So let's kind of, do our best not to pollute so much and stuff like that.
Amen.
We're happy to be here with you though. And as Garnett just introduced Nick, a business owner, car business owner. So we're going to get into a conversation with Nick about his upbringings and, his business venture and stuff like that. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. So yeah, let's dig in.
So Nick, if you don't mind, I introduced you to the people, but if you don't mind introducing yourself to them, tell them a little about yourself, before we start this up so they know who they're dealing with.
Right, well, my name's Nick. My whole family's been in the car business. My dad's probably been doing it for almost 35, 40 years, ever since I was pretty much born. So he has been in it a long time. And
it's a family affair.
It is a family affair between the cousins and uncles and everything. There must be 40 of us in the business. And we're Italian, and that's kind of, I don't know, it's almost like natural. Italian way, it's family, you all get the same business.
Yeah, if one open a restaurant, everybody open a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. So and it's been good for us, It wasn't always, all rainbows and butterflies. When we were younger, we were fairly poor. By fairly poor, I mean we were like living in fleas. Like I remember as a child, I used to sleep with fleas. I couldn't go to school because I had so many fleas on me all the time. I couldn't get rid of these fleas. Like I remember I got my first fight like in first grade because I was getting teased because this kid had a brand new pair of Jordans. I was wearing some
You grew up in the States, right, Nick?
Shoes, So when we were younger, we were pretty poor.
You grew up in the States, Nick?
Yeah, I grew up in the States. I think this was in Oregon when this was going on.
Okay.
That's the misconception a lot of people have with being poor. When they hear poor, they associate poor with people of color. And they don't realize that they're in America because the population is so wide and divided between white and black. There's so much white people.
And everything else, really, when you really broaden the spectrum, I mean, it goes deeper than that. It's a pretty diverse culture with Asians and Mexicans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a melting pot.
Yeah, and people don't pay attention to that because the average person thinks, oh, he's a white person, so he's got it. He's got privilege. Mm-hmm. They don't realize that in America, there are more poor white people than there are poor black people. But because of the number gradients, it seems that there are more poor people of color than there are white people that are poor and destitute in America. So when you say, Nick, that you grew up poor to the point that you actually was going to, listen, I was poor, but I never went to school with them fleas. I'd kill a motherfucker if they clown me.
It was a real problem, man. It was a real problem. That was like my afternoons, man, picking fleas off my legs and throwing them into the toilet.
Wow.
And look at where you're at now. So Nick, let me ask you a question before we get into a little bit of history of your business. Just something for the entrepreneurs out there before we do a deep dive. As a business owner, what do you think is the number one thing that should be on your mind on a daily basis while running a business?
You know, I think the number one thing should be, I don't know that you can split it up into just one number one thing, because if you're an entrepreneur, I mean, you got to be passionate about what you do. I mean, that is so important, because
Very important.
with that passion brings that hustle. And without the passion and the hustle, entrepreneurship is so competitive. It's not punch in a clock and go, man, oh cool, my shift's almost up. It's you know, it's a real hustle.
Yeah,
so without that passion and that drive, then I don't think that entrepreneurship is for you. So those would be the two most important things, I would think.
Passion and drive. Now, Nick, if you don't mind, you know what I'm saying, giving us a little bit of history about the Arrattas in Spokane, how you guys actually decided to enter the car business, and because if you're honest with yourself, selling cars is one of the most snaky perceived professions you can have in the world. You know what I'm saying? When you hear car lot and you hear a car salesman, you think, I'm fit to get rammed.
Yeah, especially a used car salesman, right?
Yeah, but the perception is so wrong, because I've sold cars. I don't know, when people come to buy a car, most of the times they don't really know what they want. They're literally window shopping. You need that car salesman to guide you to a place where you can actually make the right purchase.
Right.
All home that you want. So with that being said, give us, if you don't mind, just, you know what I'm saying, tell us how the Arrattas chose car dealership, when they chose car dealership, and just the bang bang.
So it all started with my uncle. So he basically had a dad who thought that his son would be really good at, so this would be like my great uncle or great grandpa. I called him great grandpa, but he wasn't really my great grandpa. But he thought his son would be good at the car business because he was really good. He was a good people person. He liked to talk. He could make people laugh. And I goes, hey, I think this would be a great business for you. So he knew some people, got him in the business, and that was in the late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there. And so
years.
Yeah, so he was doing it forever, and then he was pretty good at it, and he eventually opened up his used car lot in, I think, the mid 80s. He opened up his own used car lot. And then from there, he basically brought in that generation of the family, right? My dad, my uncles, all that whole generation right there, which was a big family. You know, my dad has like seven or eight brothers and sisters, you know.
Italian.
All of them were alive to this day, but he did at the time, you know.
Italian.
Yeah, and so then, exactly, right? So then they all had, you know, so then they all got into the business, and then basically from there, our generation, you know, most of us are in the business, and that's why there's so many of us in the business today. But it all started with my uncle, my great uncle, and his dad, really.
Now, see, a lot of, we had a show on here that one time when we talked about legacy.
I was just going to touch on that. Tell you the truth.
And leaving a legacy. Go ahead, JD. What were you going to say?
No, but it's a very interesting conversation when we talk about legacy, and it's important to put the essence on that word, because in a lot of communities minority communities that really migrate to these countries, whether it's France or the US, you know what I mean? We find that, I personally find that when a relative or someone that migrates to a country finds opportunity to create and build something, it's always a good start and a good beginning for the family, because it gives them an opportunity that maybe they don't have, you know what I mean, in Italy or in whatever country that they're from. So I think it plays a big role in the developing of a family and the creation of what I call generational wealth for the future of generations to come and things like that. And it's very important. 100%. I really put an emphasis on that. And me and Garnett, with the show, that's actually one of our goals, you know. Me personally, I'm in real estate, but I'm just starting out. But of course, the end goal behind even my own business is to create something that lives on and continue to build generation after generation, even after I've passed. So yeah, I think that's when it comes to legacy and creating a business, it's awesome.
I think that's everybody's goal, right? Is to be able to take care of your families and you know, your families.
Not everybody's goal, bro.
Well,
we
yeah.
have pieces of shit in the world. Let's be
Well,
honest.
you know, and it always blows my mind too when I hear like, I don't know, an example is like Jackie Chan, and he says he's not going to give any of his money to his kid. If he's going to make it, he's going to make it. If he's not, he's not. I'm like, well, man, you know,
kind of had that motherfucker.
I don't know if you could do it again, bro. Like, you know, it's pretty lucky to hit, like, you know, to be a big star movie actor like that. Even if you're a great actor, it's still a small percentage that ever make it like that, you know.
True. I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, and they were talking about how the fact that if you're going to be realistic about something in life, you can't use these imaginary, the power of attraction. I'm gonna put a picture from Lamborghini on my desk, and this Lamborghini, I'm gonna power it, I'm going to envision it, and it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? You it just don't work like that. You have to put the work in. You got to create something like a legacy. Now, for me, Nick, what I want to ask you about legacy is this: when you guys have such a deep family root into a business and into a community, your footprint is no longer just normal. So when you came from, you guys pretty much pulled yourself up from bootstraps like American sailors. You know what I'm saying? From nothing to something.
Yeah, when my uncle moved to Spokane, you know, even though he started it all, when he moved to Spokane, he had 30 cents on him.
Come on,
living
man.
in his car.
Come on, man. And people will always come up, because America, when you're in America, you don't appreciate America as much as when you're outside of America. You know what I'm saying?
No, we have a house in Mexico, man, and I remember and it's not like in a tourist area, right?
Yeah.
You can't there's no airport to get there, so you drive through like a lot of Mexican cities and stuff that are really, really poor. And I remember I got back from this trip after seeing a lot of that was real poverty, right? That was people living in boxes all up.
No
and down
government
the
help,
street,
nothing.
Smell bad, like real bad, right? And then I got back, and Jalil was showing me his, you know, he just got back from the Bay Area, and he was showing me snaps of the projects. And I'm like, that's second row waterfront, bro.
That's paradise.
That compared to what I just saw, bro.
That's waterfront.
That might be the
property.
projects in America, but that's paradise for, you know, what that lifestyle is like down there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a different thing. And then, so when have you felt the shift from being poor Nick and then turn into a successful businessman, Nick? Did you feel a shift in your friends? Did you feel a shift in how you interact? Did you feel like you changed and interacted differently with people?
You know, I don't ever feel like I did, you know, and I don't know if maybe it's different if you come up fast, you know, like let's say like maybe a football player that gets all the money at once, or maybe a movie star that hits a big role and gets paid all that money. But you know, when you do it slow, because you know that's most of the time how wealth is built for 99.9% of people that actually you know are millionaires and whatnot. It's funny, you know, that health and wealth are like they rhyme because they're so similar. I mean, the only difference I think is sometimes with wealth you can get lucky and hit that 1%, where health always takes constant small daily choices, but wealth really for the most part is the same way, is that you just make constant small daily choices. And honestly, I don't think that I've got the same friends I had in high school. So I don't really think much has changed at all.
Now, being in the business world is different from being in the regular world. I've never dealt with business on a big scale. You know what I'm saying? When you guys first saw that first 100,000 and it was real cash, you know, did you guys do what most people do? Did you guys go out and buy the first flashy thing you could buy? Or
no,
did you say, you know what, we're
not.
going to put this 100,000 back into the business and recirculate it?
Yeah, it all goes back. It went back into the business for years and years before we ever bought anything fancy.
Yeah, that's
because
mostly
business
the case.
It's so shaky, right? It's not that consistent paycheck that you know you're going to get. You know, it only takes one really bad thing to happen and it's gone. So you always try to protect it the best as possible, so you don't ever live on that shoestring.
Yeah. What I would like to ask, no, but that's a really true fact, because in the business world, especially when you're developing your business or your activity or whatever it is that you're developing, it takes a lot of hard work, time, and sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice and some tough decisions on a day-to-day basis. What I would like to ask you though, Nick, is in the sector that you specialize in, car industry, what were some of the sacrifices you had to make and some of the toughest decisions that you had to make in order to get your business from where it's at to where you want it to be today or even in the future?
For me, because my parents really started the business. So for me, I had to make time sacrifices, but really the story of it is my parents are the ones that made the real sacrifice, because when my dad, it's actually a really amazing story. So my mom and my dad are still together, and neither of them could have done it without one or the other, right? Because my dad was in the business forever, but my mom was sick of him working 60, 70 hours a week, and he made good money, but she's like, well, you've been doing this long enough, you can have your own store. But he never wanted to take that jump because it is so risky, right? Because I think what a lot of people don't understand about the car business is you have all these cars and they all lose money every single day because they're a depreciating asset. So it's like basically you bring all this water onto a ship and you're shoveling it out, and then you buy more cars, and that's like putting more water on, and then you got to shovel it out again. So that's why there's kind of pressure in the business to sell cars, because if you quit, your ship just sinks. The whole business just goes down, right? So my dad didn't ever want to take that risk. So my mom actually she got a little business license and just started what we call wholesaling cars, buying cars from different places, whether it be Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, so she would just sell them to these dealers, right? And she's like, we can do this. So finally, she makes a little bit of money doing this on the side, and she's got these business licenses now. And so finally, after this goes on for a couple of years, and she's like, we can do this. My dad's like, I don't want to do this. This is so risky, because it's a big deal, right? So finally, my mom talks to my dad, and they put everything on the line, right? Because at this point, they're probably in their low 40s. They've only bought their first house at this point, and they've got some equity because they've owned it for like 5 years or 6 years, and they put everything on the line. They put their retirement fund, their savings account, their house, every penny they had. If this business would have failed, they would have had to start all over again, right? And everything they had built for till they were 40 years old. And so they're the ones that made that real sacrifice. Like, I'm putting everything on the line, and if this doesn't work, I'm done.
Yeah, you know what? I was just watching a video, I think it was last night, and it was a motivational speaker, and he was like, people have to understand that everything is a risk. From the day you are born, it's a risk. You understand? So it's better to take that jump, even though it's risky, and not regretting later and asking yourself later, well, what would have been or what could have been if I did that? You know what I mean? And
it's also a lot easier. I agree with that 100%. It's a lot easier to do it when you're younger too, because where my parents were at, when they're in your young 40s, like you're looking at retirement in 20 years
that's
as
true.
Opposed to you don't have as much working life. So I recommend anybody listening. Yeah,
that took guts.
Young you are, man. Just go for it, bro. Go for it, man.
You know what I've realized in life, guys, is so I'm a risk taker. I won't bungee cord jump or nothing like that, but I take risks.
No, me neither. I'm scared of heights, man.
You know what I'm saying? But the minute you decide that any risk is too great based on fear, is the minute you're never going to succeed in anything. The minute you let fear decide fear should never be the reason why you decide you're not going to take the risk. It should be the risk and the reward factor. Is the risk worth the reward? And if the risk ain't worth the reward, you need to move along. But with business, it's hard to say that, because it's literally an unknown with business. Because you could open up a donut shop, you could be selling donuts out at your house for 5 years, and everybody comes to your house to buy a donut. You open the donut shop and nobody shows up, and that's a flop.
I've
You know
heard
what the
You've been sending
stories
them
like
out the
that.
house for years and everybody loved them. And nobody chose them now because they love coming to your house to buy the donuts. Because it felt homely and they felt a part of your, more than just a business. It felt almost like family. That's the environment you want to create in the customer service business, a family feel where they feel like you're more than just a salesman. So
Right.
taking that risk in business is a lot different and it's a lot difficult. But like Nick said, if you're an entrepreneur, if you don't have passion and you don't have drive, don't even touch the shit. Move along.
Well, Garnet,
Go
you
to-
know,
go
the
to
thing
9
when
to
it
5
comes to
job.
business and taking risk is that it's important to take calculated risk. You understand? You have to try to make as much calculations as possible in order to take precautionary measures in case, you know, something goes wrong. But once you're there and that decision is made and you're established, what the priority becomes now, well, how do I constantly keep growing and building? And for that now, you have to innovate. You have to be innovative. You have to be able to perceive basically the future and make constant adjustments and changes in order to be, you know, in the top 10 or in the top 5 or stay at the head of the competition. So it's really about innovation and adapting to the changes. And that carries me, by the way, to a question I would like to ask Nick, because recently we have been hearing, I think it's a worldwide thing now, especially with the climate being an issue, of a lot of electrical vehicles being promoted and being sold. I don't know if that's a part of your catalog, but are you planning to make any adjustments if that's not the case, or are you already making any adjustments?
You know, the business is always changing. It really is. You know, I think one of the biggest, you know, for what you're saying there, one of the biggest adjustments that have happened in our business is people can just buy cars online, where even 5 years ago there was no, what is it called?
Nirvana?
One of them vending machine places.
Nirvana?
Yeah, Carvanas or whatever.
Carvana.
Yeah, you know, so that's a huge change. I don't think switching to electric, I mean, a car is a car. I think people are always going to want them. And even if Ubers become really popular, people are always going to want individuality. Like, most people still wear watches, and you don't even need a watch at times on your phone, right? But you know, when we started Northtown, we didn't even have a website. So it's one of those things that you're right. You know, you got to always grow and adapt, and even growing and adapting and being better than the day you were before. I mean, sometimes that's just all you can do to even stay where you're at sometimes, because
that's true.
In business, everything, it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, it's always changing. I mean, we can look over the last couple of years, and you know, every business has changed a ton. Just even in 2 years, you think about Walmart's, now they all deliver groceries. You couldn't do that, what is it, 3 or 4 years ago? I mean, so, you know, businesses always do have to adapt and change. And you know, I think a good example of a business that didn't would be Toys R Us. I believe when Amazon was becoming popular, they had an opportunity to sign on with them, and they didn't want to do it. And now they're bankrupt, and Amazon is what it is today. So if you're not trying to plan for that, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, wow.
Now here, I have a big question for you, Nick. Now, JD said to be in business, you have to be innovative. You have to go with the times and change with the times. Sometimes when people don't change with the times, they get left behind, and those businesses normally shut down. How do you stay competitive in the car business? And realistically, we're in Spokane. There is not they have car road like Hyundai and Toyota, but they have more used car dealerships in Spokane than they do have main car dealerships. How do you stay competitive in that market?
You know, it's the little things, you know what I'm saying? It's just paying attention. When you're looking at that point in business, you've probably kind of been where we're at, where we're established and stuff. But at that point, it really becomes a devil's in the details kind of thing. Like, how do your cars, for us, you know, in our business, how do our cars look online? How are they priced? How are they marketed? How fast are we getting them? How fast are we getting them through reconditioning? Because any kink in this flow of business, from the buying to the getting it ready to the selling to the getting the bank to fund the deal, if there's any kink in that hose along the way, it creates a huge problem. So to be competitive for us, it really starts to become a devil's in the details type of thing. Like, how fast can we get these cars? Can we get cars for the right price? that we can get them here, get them ready, get them good, get them priced right, and then get everything done on the customer end of it too. So just all in the details really for us to be better than, you know, our competition, so to speak, down the road.
Literally.
Literally. And did you see they're opening up a cow like south of us? Did you see that?
I saw that cow. Yeah, I did see that cow. It's going to be a pretty small one though.
Yeah, it didn't look like they have a lot of space down there.
Yeah.
I don't know what their thought process is, but
cow being cow. That's the thought process.
Just trying to do it, you know, trying to do another one. So, but, you know, for us, it doesn't, you know, Jeremy, the general manager at Automax, called me and he goes, well, does that make you nervous? And I said, no, it really doesn't. I mean, we know what we have and we know what we do and we know how to do it good. And it really doesn't make me nervous.
Anything, you know what, Nick, that is actually, in my mind, I would see them actually getting you guys more business based on the fact that when people go down there and see what they have and see their prices and see how they do operate, they're going to be like, man, Northtown sucks, bro. Let's just shoot on up to Northtown, man. We don't want to deal with
It's funny
this.
you say that because I said that's exactly what I said. I said, I'm like, if anything, we're going to be busier because of it. They're just going to bring people in for us and we're going to get them.
Yeah, because people are going to go down there and they're going to be like, this don't add up, bro. I'm out of here. Now, big question, Nick. We're going to touch a big topic with you. You know, this topic is worldwide, you know what I'm saying? And if you could, you know what I'm saying, if you could give us a little bit of personal experience or, you know, just how you dealt with it. But how did Corona affect your business? And part two of that question, when you finish with that first part, is how is all the chips in the cars and the backup with all the inventory of stuff affecting you?
Yeah, Corona was a really weird situation, I think, for a lot of people. And for us, it was cool because I never had 2 months off of work before since I was 16 years old. So I enjoyed it. You know, I'm like, man, you know, everybody's so frustrated being locked up. I'm like, man, I'm enjoying this time with my daughter. I'm taking my dog on walks every day, multiple times. I'm like, I'm loving it, right?
Like,
but then, of course, that is.
Oh, wait a key.
Yeah, you know, and so many people were like looking at it like it's a negative. I'm like, man, I had ever had 2 months off, and I don't think I ever will again until I retire. So I'm gonna take this and enjoy it, right?
Hey,
I did.
Don't count your eggs before they hatch, brother. They might put us back on lockdown.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah. Fuck no.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So that was a weird situation, and then we basically.
How was it in the actual building with customers? Did you have customers who were coming in like, I'm not wearing no fucking mask. Fuck the mask and the government.
Yeah, that too.
No, we never, you know, I don't know because, you know, in the car business, you know, we're a pretty successful used dealership and we do just over 100 transactions a month. We never had any issues one way or the other. You know, most people wore the mask when they were supposed to. You know, if someone didn't, you know, now it seems like in the beginning, everybody wore the mask when they were supposed to. And kind of right now, it's kind of dealer's choice. And that's just what I told my staff is like, hey, you know, if they're wearing a mask, you need to be wearing a mask. It's just a sign of mutual respect. If they're not, you can wear one, but I'm not going to make you wear one, you know? So there's just that mutual respect. But, you know, we never had that. We never had anybody coming in and freaking out one way or the other. So I guess we were pretty blessed in that aspect of it.
I say that because, you know, in Spokane, we have a lot of people that weren't friendly with all the mandates, weren't agreeable with all the mandates. I didn't agree with them my damn self, you know, because that took away a lot of our freedoms from us as people. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So when the inventory flow started to change, you see what I'm saying? When and how did Corona affect your inventory flow?
You know, that was actually really hard, and it still is because the inventory is still hard to get, you know, but
Why
it
is
actually
that?
What's that?
Why is the inventory hard to get?
Well, it's because they're not making chips for the new cars, and it's just kind of that analogy I was using with the flow of the hose, you know, the water flowing down the chain. Well, basically, when new car stores is where that whole flow starts, right? So you got it kinked way up at the top. So if nobody's buying new cars, then they're buying used cars, and then these new car dealers that's taking these slightly used cars that normally they get rid of at auctions is keeping them because they can't get inventory. So this inventory just gets kinked right at the very top, and then it just makes the prices go up because it's a supply and demand kind of thing.
Yeah, there was a spike here in France for used cars because I think the new cars, the exportation delays on new vehicles was too long or too delayed and stuff like that. I don't know if it was the same thing in the States, but
yeah, it was exactly the same.
Here in Europe,
so all the used car prices went up, and it made it hard. But for us, it was actually, as far as business goes, it was actually a really good thing. We've actually had one of the busiest years we've ever had, but it kind of goes to what we were talking about previously with adapting and changing. So we have this huge change, right? So how are we going to adapt? Well, we just spent 2 to 3 times more effort on getting cars.
Yeah.
So we always had cars to sell at still the right prices and not asking too much and just being careless with it. So therefore, we took what a lot of people took as a negative. You drive past some of these car dealerships, they got 2 cars on their car lot to sell. We still got so many cars to sell, and
the same
we
2
just put in
cars
that
for
extra
months.
work. What's that?
And the same 2 cars for months.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just sitting there, and while people are still buying cars and people still need used cars, so we took that, and that's just what you guys were talking about earlier, is adjusting. So we adjusted, we found cars, we worked twice as hard, and exhausted every avenue we could think of, and still kept our lot full of nice quality used cars. And now we've had one of the busiest years because we adapted to a change and shifted where we spend our time in business to make it work.
That is an awesome thing, man.
Yeah.
Hey people, what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna cut it off right here. This is gonna be our first half an hour show. It's gonna be coming on Tuesday. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share. No matter what you do, get to that YouTube right now. When you're watching this video, hit that subscribe button. It's gonna get you a ding, and that ding gonna make you feel happy. It's like ding. Hit that ding gonna make you feel good, all right? Make a comment. Nick, thank you so much. Part 2 is coming back, people. Global state of mind. Don't forget, all praises to the Most High.
Stay tuned.
Welcome, people, back to part 2 of the interview with Nick Arrotta, owner of Northtown Auto Sales here in Spokane, Northtown Auto Liquidators. Like I was telling you guys before, don't shop anywhere else or you're going to be played. Go down, see Nick, see Jaleel, see Brandon. These guys are professionals. They're not out to get you, they're out to help you. All right, so take your time. I know winter's coming up in Spokane. I'm no longer here, you know what I'm saying? But winter's coming up, and winter's there pretty bad. You're going to need that 4-wheel drive, not 2-wheel drive. 4-wheel or all-wheel
drive. I know it's raining yesterday. I seen people getting spun out at the intersection just because of the rain. I'm thinking, oh man, you guys need to come on in.
Just go ahead and grab that 4-wheel, all-wheel drive. So don't forget, people, like, subscribe, hit the button, get the ding, share this with everybody that you can share it with. Leave a comment if you guys got any questions that you want answered about the interview, or even if you want to answer from Nick, you can shoot it to the comments and we'll shoot it to Nick and have Nick get an answer back to you in the comments, or we'll type it for him. So don't forget that, people. Nick, we were having a really good conversation. We stopped off about how coronavirus was affecting your business with the whole inventory and stuff like that. Now, has coronavirus changed how you guys hire people now?
We've been blessed, right? Because, I just seen yesterday on my Facebook that Chipotle, there's a Chipotle in the Valley right now.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that yesterday?
No.
Customers were walking into the place and there were no employees.
What?
They just abandoned the place, right?
No. What you mean, like a straight walkout?
Yeah, there's a straight walkout. I would have, and all these customers were trying to get their food. I was like, man, I'd have just gone back there and made my own food.
I'd have just went back there. I didn't pay for this.
Does anybody else need anything?
Was that due to some restrictions or something, or?
What's that?
That was due to a restriction or something?
No, I don't know. I don't ever know what had happened. I assumed that it was just employees that got together and they just said, you know what?
Strike.
We don't get paid enough to deal with this. We're out of here. That's what I assume happened. I don't ever know. I just seen it on my Facebook yesterday. I thought it was wild,
bro.
I was like, wow.
But that goes to show you that we're living in a whole different time, Nick.
Yeah. When
we understand if you're an iron worker and you go on a strike. For a lumber worker, you go on a strike. You know what I'm saying? Unions, you know what I'm saying? But Chipotle saying to themselves, bro, I'm not making another fucking burrito. Let's go. Like you gotta understand, Nick. All right, so listen, I'm not judging nobody. I'm just stating the facts, people.
It's got to be, I'm proud of me. That's why I'm steady moving on despite the hatred. I get better every song, man. It's got to be, I'm proud of me. If you don't like it, move along, get the shaking if the bacon ain't involved. Man, it's got to be, I'm proud of me. That's why I'm steady moving.